So let me introduce you first, Katrina. I think that you are a really unique author, and you have a very interesting take on mythology. And what I found is that many of your novels read like non-fiction at times, because I think the alternative history that you describe is quite believable, especially this part of the ancient gods and goddesses being extraterrestrial and coming to Earth to participate in the human evolution. And I think it's so believable because you are so well researched and well read. So I was wondering if you could share some of this knowledge and inspiration with me.
Okay. Well, I really love ancient history and mythology. And I've found in Asia, especially, the two happen to be intertwined a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're talking about lineage, particularly of the royal families, or the exploits of the greatest heroes, there's always a rather blurred line as to what is genuine history and what has become mythology. But I think with a lot of the stories, there is a kernel of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at the gods who created us, whether it's in China or in Sumer or even the Hebrew version, they did create us. There was some manipulation of our DNA, and we were created for a single purpose. And it was mainly to serve them.
Mm.
To what degree varies according to the culture, but according to the Sumerian version with the Anunnaki, we were practically slaves. We were there to take care of the animals and to do the gardening and mine the precious gold and gems that they wanted.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, one of them took pity on us and gave us the ability to think and to reason. And this one is the serpent.
Mm.
It's the serpent in Genesis, which suggests that he was not actually the bad guy.
That's very interesting, because some view him as the negative, like even as a devil or the wicked guy.
Yes, well, I'm sure the others thought of him as very, very wicked for what he did. So the Anunnaki story is similar to the Bible in that God created us for a purpose, except that their story takes it further.
Mm.
There was not one God.
Yeah.
There were a few, and they were the Elohim. And in the Anunnaki story, we have the winged guardians.
Yeah.
Same as in the Bible. The archangels have the wings, they have the flaming swords.
Yeah.
In Sumer, we have the flaming swords or the Shuhadaku, and we have the winged beings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Except that we've been raised to view the Bible as the truth and the other one as just a fable.
Yeah. And can you tell me more actually about the Enki and Enlil relationship? Because I think not many people are familiar with the story of these two brothers.
But they were fighting for Anu was the head Anunnaki on Earth, the king of the gods.
Yeah.
And he had two sons who were, I believe, half brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And Enlil was the older son. Enki was born to the first wife.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know anything about jockeying for position, because if they had more than one wife, you have the first wife, and then you have the other wives. So it was a fight between them as to who should be the successor.
Yeah.
Should it be the firstborn son, or the son born to the better lady?
To the
first lady?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Anu was never able to make a decision in favor of one or the other. And so we have a lot of really horrible battles between them.
Yeah.
And Enki was based in Egypt, whereas Enlil was more in the Canaan, Jerusalem area.
Mm.
And then their sons got involved, their daughters, everybody got involved in this war of succession.
Mm.
And they both had very different approaches. Now, Enki is the serpent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were all given the task of creating a workforce that would do the mining, do the things that they were meant to do.
Humans.
The humans. Enki took it a bit further. Now, I guess the question I've always had with Enki is, did he do it because he's a really good being who wanted the best for us? Or did he do it because he's fighting a war of succession with his brother and he needed an army?
Mm. Yeah.
You need an army that is well trained but can think for itself.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have an army of people who just wait for an order.
Yeah.
Without being able to have any initiative. So it could be that he didn't even do it because he really wanted the best for us. He could have just done it because it's like, well, my brother's got twice the amount of soldiers as I have, so what can I do? The only one that seems to have the purest motive is the woman, Ninkarsag, who's in the middle of the two brothers, who for some reason, actually according to the Anunnaki texts, has children with both of them. But she's the only one who seemed to have had the purest motives for us when she helped Enki create us and give us the ability to think and reason. And it's the motivations behind it that is still not quite clear. Like, I'm okay with the idea that Enki might not have done it completely out of altruistic motives. If he did it with the intent of having an army, that would kind of explain why we are predisposed to go to war.
Yeah.
In the name of God.
It's true, yeah.
Humanity is more than happy to wage war.
Yeah, always fighting.
On a belief system for which there is no evidence. We've not met that God that we're fighting for. We don't know for sure that there's an afterlife that we believe in, and yet we're willing to go and fight and die for it. And that does not seem reasonable to me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good point.
Which, to me, suggests that Enki did create us. He wouldn't have told Ninkarsag that was his aim, but I think that was his backup plan. I think he thought, well, if I give them enough ability, then I can use them in the battle against my brother.
And what do you think was the reason that they left? Or do you think they never left, that they are hidden and still controlling? humanity?
I think we are really good at overthrowing our oppressors.
Mm.
I think that we probably did
Fight back.
fight back. I think especially when you have, beings like Enlil and his sons destroying entire cities.
Mm.
And then you have them always fighting in this war. And once Inanna got involved, she rallied whole nations behind her in her quest for dominance. And I think we got tired of being used in that manner. And I think we didn't kill them, then we probably made them leave.
Yeah. That's interesting. It makes you look at the thing a bit differently. Makes us seem stronger, more powerful, right?
Mm.
So you think the Anunnaki could be the giants from Bible then?
Yes, I believe in particular it was the sons of God who mated with the daughters of men that created the giants. Anunnaki, it was the same thing. It was the first batch of uncontrolled breeding that created these giants that were ungovernable. And they could not think. They were not a civilized being. They caused a lot of destruction. They could not be controlled, so they had to be eradicated. They had to be destroyed because they were destroying everything. People and the Anunnaki's plans. So,
but it makes you think that maybe there was some even more powerful force beyond it all, right?
Yes. I think there was a lot of trial and error as well. I don't know how many years we're talking about for them to have engaged in those experiments, their breeding programs, their warfare, but we're talking about a really long time for all of this. And yet just vanished eventually. I am probably from a cataclysm. Meteor or floods, earthquakes, whatever. Eventually, most of that knowledge did get lost. Or destroyed. Ironically, the one book that has been passed down is the Bible, because it does talk about the Nephilim, the Seraphim, the Elohim. It's all there, and it connects to what the Sumerians had to say.
And actually, can you tell me about your latest research on goddess Inanna? I know that you are planning a novel, a new novel, and the main focus will be Inanna, right? And this controversy surrounding her.
There is a lot of controversy surrounding her. I think she was one of the most important figures of the ancient age, and there's not a lot known about her. Again, to the Anunnaki, she was the ultimate femme fatale, the seductress, the girl who used her beauty to get her own way. She was also very tempestuous. She got angry easily, fell in love easily, and at some point decided, not unreasonably, that she was just as capable of ruling as the men. We're talking about Enki and Enlil. And so she managed to gather an army and get generals to fight on her behalf, human generals that were her lovers. And she waged war, and she almost won.
Mm.
In the end, she didn't, but she almost won. And she was very clever.
Mm.
In her temples were the first banks.
Mm.
So a king, a general, a rich man could make a deposit in a bank in one country with the paper, go and withdraw in another, so that he didn't have to travel with
them
his money.
Yeah.
Which puts him at risk of banditry and kidnapping and what have you. Yeah. So she had the first banks in the world, first banking system.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's very clever, very progressive. She did have quite a few lovers. Mm-hmm. She also did some things that were outrageous and horrible to other people. Mm. She seems to show a lack of concern for other women.
Oh.
Okay. Yes. She gave the order that all women had to serve in her temple once a year. Mm. And by serve, that means that any man could come and choose you for the day.
Yeah.
Now, there are two versions of this story. One version is that the women who were not so beautiful would not get picked. Mm. And they could not leave the temple until they'd done their duty. Mm. And so Inanna gave the order that the women should be veiled. They should have their faces covered on that day, so that the men, if you can't see the face, you just have to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, one. The other version is that the highborn families themselves complained. Mm. Because if you can understand most people, okay, you have to go do your duty in the temple, and it's a man you've probably never met before, hopefully. The last thing you want is 2 months later to be walking down the street and for the guy to go, hey!
Yeah.
So they requested that they could keep their faces veiled. Mm. Now, in the end, she agreed, so the women had their faces veiled on that one day. The Bible has a woman who's clothed in red, dripping in jewels, very beautiful, related with a dragon. She's riding a dragon with 12 heads. Mm. And they call her the whore of Babylon. Mm. And I think that's Inanna.
Okay.
Revelations is not about what's to come, it's about what happened. Mm. I believe John the Revelator is most likely Oannes, who is the Babylonian god of writing.
Okay.
And if you look at the variations of John, in Dutch you get Johannes. Mm. So there is a plausible connection. Mm. And so that would make John not one of the 12 disciples. It would be Oannes writing about the whore of Babylon, Inanna.
Okay.
Whose generals were actually from the Babylonian area.
Interesting.
That was her power base.
Mm. And is she somehow connected to the Anunnaki?
Yes, she is actually one of the Anunnaki gods.
Okay. So she was a giantess.
Enki's granddaughter, I believe.
Oh, okay. So she was also a giant or a giantess.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was known for her beauty.
Okay.
Mm. She was very beautiful, and she was, if you have the two sides, the red and the white, she was the red.
Okay.
Priestess of the red. Mm. Which made her very influential, but she wanted more.
Yeah.
I think she looked at Ninkersag, who always tried to be the peacemaker, who was very maternal. I think she looked at her and went, no, this is silly. You've got Enki and Enlil fighting, causing all this death and destruction, and I can do better. And she almost won. And if she had, the history would have been very different. But of course, the first poem was dedicated to her by one of her priestesses. And Inanna wrote the first recorded poem, and it's dedicated to her. So we have that at least. So yeah, I'm writing about her now.
Very interesting. So it's a really interesting story, interesting character to work with.
She's a lot of fun to write because she doesn't do anything by half.
Yeah.
And she is free-spirited and strong-willed to the extreme.
Yeah.
But in all of it, you get the sense that she is continuously thwarted by people, by men, by kings, and of course by the other Anunnaki who don't want her to succeed.
Yeah.
The more she gets thwarted, the worse her temper is. But she was very interesting. I mean, even her marriage to Dumuzi, the attendants on the wedding day were dressed half as men, half as women.
Oh, interesting.
So she had the men had wigs that were short, the women had wigs that were long, the makeup, half the robe was short, the man's tunic, and half of it was long. So I think there's a lot about her that was very progressive even by today's standards. And we know she didn't have a problem with homosexuality. She had priests who serviced men. There was no issue. So all of these things that Enlil has a problem with, she doesn't. Which kind of makes you wish she had one.
Yeah.
Because our history would have been very, very different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I remember you told me, that the bad guy won. We are in his reality now, in his doing.
Yes. I believe that it was the bad guy who won. I believe it's the one who wanted to control us, the one who is very harsh. When you look at God's punishment on the Israelites, it's ridiculously harsh.
It is, yeah.
What he does to them, destroying everybody down to the children, that's not a God of mercy. And it's not a God of love. And I think it then got passed on to Christianity.
Yeah.
Where anything bad that happened was, it was God's will. God's punishing us for whatever we've done.
Yeah.
And that whole concept is really disturbing.
It is. And do you think that some of these Anunnaki or these ancient gods and goddesses are looking over us and helping us from some other place, maybe from another dimension?
Let me see. I've not come up with my own beliefs on the afterlife, are not set in stone yet. So I would assume if they're still alive, that they would be paying attention to us as much as they can.
Yeah.
Particularly the ones that, actually both sides. Those who wanted to control us and those who wanted to help us. Yeah. They both would be watching us.
Thank you so much, Katrina, for spending time with me today.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. It just never ends.